All right, great. Good morning, everybody. Just like to start the webinar off. This is a RBtec XtraVision webinar, and today we'll be handling the IRONCLAD product. Dory from RBtec will be doing the presentation. So I'm going to hand over to Dory, and then Dory, if you'd like to run with the presentation.
Okay, good morning, guys. Today I'm going to talk about the IRONCLAD from RBtec. Share it screen. So RBtec is a manufacturer of perimeter security systems for 35 years. We've been selling, manufacturing, and designing security solutions for fences and ground. We started selling with XtraVision in South Africa, and they are our partner and distributor for projects in South Africa and other parts of Africa as well, if there are projects in other countries. RBtec is a little bit different in the way that we sell perimeter security, because we do not necessarily just target government facilities, military facilities, and high-end facilities. We sell security systems also for factories, also for commercial and industrial, also for critical infrastructure that is small and medium, and a lot for the type of sites that you can see on the screen right now, which it can be camper sites and storage facilities. It can be a lot of solar farms that we target. It can be the electrical infrastructure, oil and gas. And it can be a lot of civilian infrastructure that are just experiencing theft, vandalism, and they're looking to add another layer of security on their fence line to detect if someone is cutting or climbing. And it can be for dealerships or logistical centers or any farming facilities that are not huge, but let's say the storage of the farming equipment or the storage of the farming produce. The product that we're going to talk about today is the IRONCLAD, and the IRONCLAD, we call it a fence alarm system. The reason that we call it a fence alarm system is because this system is designed to be simply an alarm system that you add to fences. It's not a sophisticated perimeter security system that needs to be monitored with a general command and control or software or map. This system in most cases is designed to detect the cutting and be connected, to an alarm system, directly to the camera system. It can be an NVR, it can be a DVR, and it can be connected to some kind of access control as well. So the way that it integrates is just a simple contact closure relay. So most of the integration can be for new systems, old systems, but in general, connecting our fence system to any other system is very easy, simple, and user-friendly. The system itself is plug and play, meaning there's no training, there's no certification needed. Any installer that never installed perimeter security can install the system successfully with no knowledge or prior experience whatsoever. The system is sold and marketed in kits. And the reason that we mentioned that is that there's no custom-made installation. It's off-the-shelf product, meaning that you can install it and within a few days to a couple of weeks receive it. The system is manufactured in spools of 75 meters, 150 meters, and 300 meters, meaning that if you have a site of 250 meters, you're buying the 300 meters and you just cut the extra cable that you don't need. We sell the system in standard sizes and standard kits of a single zone or a two zone, meaning that the smallest zone you can see on the right will be the 75 meters kit, and the largest kit is 600 meters. If you want to cover 1 kilometer, 2 kilometers, you just use multiple kits of the same system. You don't need another system, just another kit to cover the extra cable with extra processor. On the right, you can see that each kit comes with the processor in the weatherproof enclosure, the cables, and the end-of-line units that you just install on site at the end of the cable. I'm gonna move beyond the video. So The way that we detect cutting and climbing is by the frequency of vibration on the fence. We detect sharp frequencies or impacts on the fence that are usually associated with cutting, climbing, and jumping the fence, and we ignore and filter the low frequency movement of the fence that is usually associated with winds, with small animals, and with weather conditions. The way that the system is installed is that we have the processor on the fence, and you have one zone to the right and one zone to the left. The cable in the middle of the fence will detect the full height of the fence, meaning that no matter where they cut or climb on the fence, we are able to detect the whole height of the fence. From that processor, usually we will take one cable that is 6 wires or 6 conductors to the alarm system to take the alarm outputs to the alarm system or to the camera system, and to receive power, DC power. The system works on 12 volt or 24 volt, half an amp power. As I mentioned before, if someone needs 4 zones, 6 zones, or multiple or larger sites, we have each processor will be mounted on another location on the fence and will work completely as a standalone system, meaning that the 2 processors that you can see over here are not connected with communication or anything. They don't know each other and they are not communicating with each other. Each of them is a standalone connected to the camera or alarm system. When the system is installed on the fence, it looks like that. We have the processor on the fence, and then the cable again is running in the middle of the fence. It's tied to the fence with stainless steel ties that we sell, and the amount of installation is rough estimate for first installation is 300 meters for 2 techs in a 1 working day, meaning that you can install 300 meters full system in a single working day. This is just to show you the end-of-line termination unit, how simple and straightforward it is. The end-of-line is just a resistor, meaning there's no crimping or any special connections whatsoever. Adjusting the sensitivity is done per zone or per channel, and what we have is we have deep switches per channel that you can adjust independently. Each of those channels have an output, an alarm output to the, again, alarm system, and they are connected to the processor with a simple screw terminal. Again, no special tools needed to do any of the connections. Another question that comes often is how we protect gates and how do we look for the gates themselves, whether it's a sliding or rolling gate or a swing gate or just kind of emergency gate. So I'm going to start from the sliding gate. On the sliding gate, we have a retractable roll or like an extension cord that drills in and out with the gate and bridges the gap between the moving gate and the standard gate. I have a video, but it's a little bit laggy over here, so I won't show it. I can send to people later on the link. For swing gates that have a conduit under them and that have a pipe under them, what we do, we will loop the cable on the gate and then go under the gate to bypass the opening and allow the gate to open and close without touching the sensor cable. And an emergency gate, meaning that gates that do not have this pipe under the gate and we have to go across the gate, we have the ability to put an emergency connection or a quick connector that can pull in and out and allows to disconnect the cable to open the gate. This, of course, if the system is working and armed, then it will be arming and alarming once it's open. This is just how you would see it on a double swing gate, on a vehicle gate. Again, swinging or looping on one side, going to the extension cord, going under the other gate and continuing. So just to give you an idea of who we sell to and examples of installations and where this system can work, which is to give you just an out of the box thinking of where sensors are being sold, is again, one of our largest markets in many countries is the whole self-storage industry. It can be a self-storage for campers, it can be self-storage for warehouses, or just any storage that will be Now you can see the cable is on all of those fences, and in this case, many of those are in the United States, but we have the same sites around the world. Another type of sites is all kinds of dealerships. It can be trucks, it can be commercial lawnmowers, it can be ATVs, as you can see on the lower left, and on the upper left, this is a high-end body shop, a repair shop, that you can see Ferraris and Rolls Royces. Everywhere that there is equipment that can be high value, that's standing outdoors, and they want to protect it, we are able to sense on those locations. Another site that is a little bit different, because a lot of people don't think about those scrape yards and recycling locations as a location that where people will steal, but those car parts and metals and so on are worth enough money that people are willing to break in and steal them. We do a lot of transportation as well. So any of the transportation link, we work a lot with UPS, with DHL, with FedEx, and other shipping companies that have warehouses or distribution hubs or anything along the food chain that where you distribute food, equipment, merchandise, and so on. And it can be the warehouses, or it can be outdoors, the trucks themselves that are parking. So we can do warehouses as well, because we have sites where they have cages or fenced areas inside the building that they want to look secure, and we put sensors on those fences as well. So we have another sensor, by the way, that is called the wall alert, that can protect the wall itself of the warehouse against breaking through the wall. Another market that we sell often, and it's very common in Africa as well, is the whole solar farm industry. So we've done from solar farms that are 500 meters to 20 kilometers. How easy to repair the cable if it's cut by an intruder? So the cable itself is very easy to repair. Again, it's just two conductors. We sell a very easy repair box that is just, you connect the two ends together and the system is back up and running with no tools whatsoever other than just stripping the wire and reconnecting the two ends. So fixing the system is about 30 seconds, and it costs only a few dollars or a couple of rands. Another industry that we focus on is the critical infrastructures that we call them. It can be electrical, oil, gas, and actually water as well. So all kinds of substations, valve stations, transformation stations, distribution centers of electricity, and so on. Mostly against copper theft, against vandalism, against all kinds of other theft that can be done. We actually done, I don't have pictures over here, of cellular towers, communication antennas. It can be all kinds of those sites as well. Things that they might be more interesting as well in South Africa. We've done a lot of gated communities, estates, golf clubs, all kinds of the neighborhoods that want to be more secured. Again, in this case, this is mostly chaining fences, but we've done on all kinds of fences, and I'm going to show it in a second. Other types of solutions or locations that we've done is swimming pools, nursing homes, anything that people want to secure during the night that people or kids can get into. And it's not necessarily a high-end security system or security location. They just need an alarm system for the fence. So they need to be alarmed if someone is getting in the pool in the middle of the night, because if they'll drown, then someone will sue the pool. And one of the last is the outdoor storage facilities. So again, piping, all kinds of tanks, all kinds of equipment, all kinds of, again, facilities in industrial sites, parks, factories that have outdoor equipment. Now, just the different infrastructure to give you an idea that I showed the pictures on certain types of fences, but the system can be installed on all types of welded meshes, and it can be installed on concertina coil, it can be installed on barbed wires, and it can be installed on, for example, if you have the wires for an electrified fence, but the fence is off because the electrified fence doesn't work anymore, we can do the same type as you can see on the bar wires on the electrified wires that doesn't have electricity anymore, and to have a detection capability on that if someone try to open those wires or cut them or climb on them. By the way, the lower left picture is from South Africa. So another important thing to mention is that this system is capable to be working on solar and wireless if needed. So because we are a low voltage system, in many parts of Africa, if they don't have local electricity, they can buy solar and batteries, and the system will work with no problem on that. And then they can connect it if they want to a cellular transmission or to wireless transmitter that locally will send to in the location somewhere else. Does the cable only detect activity on the fence, or will detect the vibration of a person approaching the fence before they are on the fence? I'm just reading questions that people are asking. So the cable is detecting only on the fence itself. It does not create any field or anything that will detect when someone is approaching to the fence. This is a vibration sensor that it will detect only vibrations of the physical infrastructure that it's mounted on. Meaning that if someone doesn't touch the fence, then they don't actually detect anything. An example of some of the sites that are doing integration, this is not an RBtec integration, but an integration to other video systems. In this case, this is an Axis system. So I'm just giving you an idea of how the system can be used. This is not, again, an RBtec provided system, but in this case, the integrator connected our sensors to their local cameras of Axis, and then brought all those alarms back into the Axis VMS system, and they are monitoring the fence and the cameras with the same system integrated locally. This is about the product itself. Just a little bit about the company. Again, we've been in business for 35 years. All those products are well proven, well known around the world. We have over 5,000 installations worldwide in 53 countries. So this is a well-known company. We have a range of solutions that I just showed here one. We have also other fence sensors. We also, this, by the way, the IRONCLAD is based on copper. For larger sites of 5 kilometers or more, we have a fiber optic sensor as well. We have seismic ground sensors in other applications as well. So just so you know, if there are other solutions or needed, if there's needed solutions for other perimeter security locations or projects, approach Nick or us, and then you can know if we can help on that specifically. And that's it regarding the IRONCLAD, and this is about the system itself. If there are any questions, you can ask right now on the Q&A, and I'll be happy to help on them. Okay, I'm gonna give it another minute or so. Nick, do you want to say anything else before we'll close the event?
Yeah, I'd just like to say thanks, Dory, and then I'd like to also just say that if anybody needs assistance in terms of design, or they have any projects that they want help with, we're more than happy to assist in terms of the design and help them to put the correct specifications down for the product. The product is quite a cost-effective product, and it is available from XtraVision, and we welcome any inquiries.
Okay, so there are a couple of questions. So as far as the maintenance on the system, if the installation was done right, meaning that the cable was tied with the stainless steel ties and the installation and the fence condition, the maintenance itself is close to nothing. So there's no maintenance, and because the point is that if the cable is tied on the fence and the system is adjusted correctly, there are no maintenance whatsoever. Now, as far as the false alarms with vegetation, it's a good question, and vegetation that we are putting into two categories. Vegetation that is brushing against the fence would not trigger false alarms. It's usually the vegetation that doesn't have any weight. Vegetation that can slap the fence, meaning that if it's windy and the branches will whip on the fence, then this will create false alarms. And in locations where you know that it's windy and there are brushes or branches of trees that will hit the fence, they need to be trimmed. Otherwise, there is a risk they will generate false alarm in certain winds. So in most cases, when you know that it's a location where there is a strong wind and you can see that the branches would hit the fence, they need to be trimmed off. So as far as connecting multiple processors together, the connection we have the version that I gave right now is the standalone version, meaning that you cannot connect multiple processors together. Each of them is a standalone. You can create a system with multiple processors that are all connected to a centralized system. But in this case, there is no communication for the processors to talk to each other. We do have a version with communication, but in this case, it will need the RBtec head end, the RBtec software. It's not a plug and play anymore system, and it's not as cost effective as what we would like in the system to be. Can the cable be placed in a conduit for protection? So the cable itself on the fence is already armored. I don't know if you've seen it, and I'm gonna go back real quick to show you in the pictures. You can see on the picture here on the lower left. So the cable itself already have a stainless steel braid that armors it. There's no need to put it in a conduit for any protection. The only place that you will put it in a conduit is when it's going underground, and usually it will be just for protection against the ground crashing over it and something like that. And it will be, in most cases, a different cable that going in that conduit as a non-sensitive. On the fence, you don't put it in a conduit because it will be too expensive. It doesn't require it. It can hurt the detection. In general speaking, it's just not needed. How stable must be the current fence? One of the questions. So the fence itself, you can see in this picture as well on the upper left, it's a rusty fence. This is in Central America. The fence needs to be standing straight. It needs to have a tension of some kind, meaning that it can't be a partially falling off, barely standing fence. The best case scenario for us as far as fences is that if the fence is tight as a guitar string. This will be the best case scenario, because that means that every vibration on the fence is a high frequency vibration that is easier for the system to detect. When there's less tension on chain link, then it's harder to detect, and you need to raise the sensitivity and then raising the risk of false alarms. On welded mesh fences, like you see over here, the tension is not important, because there's always tension on welded meshes. So as long as the fence is standing straight, there's no problem, and we can walk on welded meshes very easily, very, very reliably. In most cases on welded meshes, the false alarms rate will be extremely low, because the fence itself is barely moved. Electro mesh fence. What is the electro mesh fence? Nick, do you know what it is?
Yeah, so it's a dual sensing fence. It's got panels which have low voltage detection, DC voltage detection for shorts on the front side, and then high voltage electric fencing on the back of it. So you might get some EMF interference on your cable and on your system. but they are quite a distance apart.
You can see that on the lower left picture, if you look carefully, you can see the wires of the electrified fence. So in this case, they have a welded mesh with our sensor running here in the middle. And about 20 centimeters away, there's an electrified fence. So if this is the case, it works fine. But we cannot have a voltage on the mesh itself.
Yeah, that would be exactly the same application.
So now, if the electrified fence is away from the cable, then it doesn't interfere with the system, and because the braid on the cable, it's like a Faraday cage, meaning that because the outer braid is grounded to the fence itself, the interference doesn't get into the sensing cable inside the cable. Now, in this case, I haven't shown, but there are solutions for Palisade fences. So we have sensors for the bar fences, and we have sensors for walls for detection of, again, breaking through the wall, not climbing over walls, but breaking. If someone is breaking through a wall of a warehouse, of a gated community, or like a club or a state or something, if they wanted to have a detection that they already have some kind of a electrified fence on the wall, but they're afraid that someone will sledgehammer through the wall under it. So another question is, how easy to repair the cable if it's cut by an intruder? What are the tools that needed for that? So I'm gonna go back to the end of line box because it will be a similar box. Okay, so this is, you can see, this is the repair box. In this case, it's a splice box too. It's to connect two different cables, but in the same way, it's done to repair the wires. Okay, so it's just a simple enclosure with two entrances to the cable. And inside, it will be a similar terminal to what you see over here. So instead of one side will be connected with a sensor cable and another side with the resistor, in this case, it will be two cables connected and joined together. So as you can see, this is a push terminal. There's no tools that needed. All you need to do is strip the two wires. You can see this is the sensing wire itself. This is the sensing and the ground or the negative for that sensing wire. And once you just push it to the terminals, it's repaired and working. Once again, there's no recalibration needed to be done. There's no readjustment of anything needed to be done. Can you mount the system on a Razer coil fence? So the answer is yes. The sensor can be run on Razer coils. We have installed on multiple Razer coils, and even in Africa, in certain locations, we've installed on Razer coils, no problem whatsoever. But the Razer coil itself needs to be steady. It cannot be completely shaking in the wind, because then again we'll be getting false alarms. If it's a Razer coil that sits in a V, and that V is anchored properly on both ends with like anchoring cables, then no problem to put it on a Razer coil as well.
Dory, could you perhaps just discuss the weather station as well? I saw it in the presentation, but we didn't really discuss it at all.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm just gonna go back to the picture with the. I'm gonna put that on. Okay, so another device that we have, and you can see over here, is our weather station. And the weather station is a unit that measures wind, rain, snow, hail, and adjusted the system automatically for weather conditions. So it's not a must, and a lot of sites can use without it. But this is another layer of protection against weather conditions and weather condition false alarms. That the system will be able to readjust on a momentary level sensitivity and filter those vibrations that are the low frequency vibrations. We are still sensing, detecting, and cutting, climbing, and jumping in weather conditions. So this just allows the system to, instead of having a fixed sensitivity, to have a flexible sensitivity and adapting to the weather conditions around it. Is the system able to connect to an existing alarm system? So as I said on the presentation, the answer is yes. We can connect to any existing old or new alarm systems, NVR, DVR, or access control systems that the customer might have, and they just want to add another layer to their existing system. If there's no other questions, I want to thank everyone. Nick, anything else you would like to mention?
No, thanks, Dori. I just want to thank you very much for the presentation and your time.
Thank you, guys, and thank you everyone for attending. We appreciate it, and looking forward to hearing from you all. Thank you.